I love to collect video games. It's so much fun to walk into my room and look at a shelf full of games, memories, and stuff I still need to play. A lot of stuff I still need to play. Most of this shelf is games that I haven't played. But I also like consistency. In order to keep my shelf looking good, I have some rules when it comes to my collecting habits. For example, no greatest hits cases allowed. Why those cases are always in bright, loud colors, I have no idea. But I hate them, so I never showcase them on my shelf. I always want the original artwork. For this reason, I also try to avoid any case that has some extra words on the cover. I'm not too picky about this, but I did buy a second copy of the Phantom Pain so that mine would no longer have an IGN score on it. So, when I was shopping around for a copy of Devil May Cry 3, I was given the choice between the normal version and the special edition. You can probably guess which one I bought. And if you know anything about Devil May Cry 3, you understand that I had just made a big mistake. Devil May Cry is a weird series. The original Devil May Cry was a fine game that had some pretty cool concepts, but it also had a ton of glaring issues, like having to fight the same stupid goop boss over and over and over again. Next, Devil May Cry 2 came out, and it was kinda just... yeah, it was kinda just that. Then, Devil May Cry 3 came out, and it was phenomenal. It became a lot of people's favorite and the gold standard for the series. And most people haven't touched it since. The special edition of DMC3 is the game that the fans love. Nowadays, the original is more well known for its whack localization. Usually, when a Japanese studio decides to localize a game overseas, they would sometimes nerf the difficulty if they thought the game was too hard. Square Enix nerfed Final Fantasy IV in its American release, and Nintendo gave us a different Super Mario Bros. 2 because they thought their version was too hard. Capcom, on the other hand, saw that America thought DMC2 was too easy and said, "So y'all want a hard game? Got it." Devil Made Me Cry 3 is a hack and slash that will have you fighting hordes of demons as you try to make it to the end of each mission. However, the Devil May Cry series has never been about just killing all of the enemies. It's about styling on them. All of your moves mesh together so effortlessly that you can kind of just wing all of your combos. If you knock an enemy into the air, you get to choose if you want to juggle them with your pistols, or jump up and knock them back down. Dominating all of the enemies with your super sick movement is really enjoyable, and your options greatly expand every time you get a new weapon. Except for the guitar, that one's not very good. You also have access to the Devil Trigger, a form that allows you to heal, do more damage, and run faster than my mom when she sees a spider in the house. On top of all of this, you can even change up how you approach combat with the multiple different styles that Dante has. Trickster gives you a more consistent dodge, Swordmaster gives you more combo tools, Gunslinger is bad, and Royal Guard allows you to counter enemy attacks with good timing, which I don't have, so I don't use it. There are also two other styles that you unlock later on. One is a stronger Devil Trigger, and the other one is a reference. While Dante may be fun to play as, the enemies you have to fight are kind of a mixed bag. Some of the enemies are fun, some are half-baked, and some haven't even been in the oven. The Sevens of Hell are all fun to fight. They have some pretty basic patterns, but you will eventually learn how to dodge all of their attacks and counter them with your own. You could use all of Dante's cool moves in any way you see fit when fighting them. The same could not be said for most other enemies though. The worst enemies have one silver bullet strategy to beat them, and the novelty wears off quickly, if not immediately. Enigmas shoot arrows at you while running away faster than women when they see me. Blood Goyles require you to play Devil May Cry 2 before you can hit them. Duelians just fly away on a set path and are of no threat to you considering they don't know how to turn around. Soul Eaters force you to wait until they attack, and then it's DMC2 time again. And the Fallen, easily the worst enemy in the whole game, has the ability to fly out of bounds. Whoever thought this was a good idea was probably the same person that invented Brawl Meta Knight. Unlike the enemies, however, most of the bosses are amazing. Most! The good may outnumber the bad, but there were still some bosses that made the bleach in my cabinet look tasty. Those bosses being the flying car crash that is Gigapede, the Unga Bunga gorillas that are Agni and Rudra, and the stat check that was Arkham. Gigapede is about as much of a challenge as putting the disc into the console. Agni and Rudra have to be fought with a camera that makes the old Resident Evil games look innovative, and Arkham has attack cues that most humans can't react to, as well as taking away both your style button and your devil trigger in Phase 2. If you don't have the health or healing items to tank him, you will not win. But hey, other than that, most of the bosses were fun! There were some simple bosses like Leviathan and Nevin that don't have much attacks, but the attacks that they do have were fun to dodge, so they were still pretty fun to fight. But they are nothing compared to the amazing bosses like Cerberus, Beowulf, and Virgil. When fighting them, you are forced to learn patterns and look for openings. And once you find said opening, you have to balance your damage and your greed, because if you're in the boss's face for even a second too long, you will be punished. These fights are fun to learn and satisfying to beat. They kinda remind me of Hollow Knight bosses. Fundamentally simple, but it's easy to become too aggressive and have that be your downfall. Virgil had my favorite fights in the game by far. He had a lot of unique attacks to dodge and a devil trigger that made him immune to getting stunned, meaning you couldn't hit him as much, but he would also heal if you didn't hit him at all, preventing you from just stalling it out. He also hit like a truck. These boss fights were super intense and some of the best bosses I have ever fought. However, the learning patterns part of the process is gravely hindered by one teeny tiny feature. If you die at all during the boss fight, you have to redo the entire mission. Remember how I said that Capcom was set on making this game hard to make up for DMC2? Well, they definitely delivered, but they gave America a version of the game that was forged in hell. I'm not too keen on the why, but I do know the what. For starters, the Japanese version of Devil May Cry 3 had checkpoints. Why they mistook a quality of life choice for something that hinders difficulty, I have no idea, but this decision was so stupid. Not having checkpoints doesn't make the game harder, it just makes it less fun to play. I didn't spend 40 minutes on Mission 12 because I had to learn Girion's attack patterns. Most of that time was spent replaying the level I had already beat just to have another go at the boss. And that's not the only dumb change they made. When you start a new game, you default to normal mode. Except you don't. That's actually hard mode disguised as normal mode. If you want to unlock normal mode, now called easy mode, you have to die. A lot. Something that will happen naturally, but that just begs the question of why not give us that option from the start. But what if normal mode is still too hard for you? I mean, the game is still pretty hard. What if you want easy mode? Tough luck. There is no easy mode option in this game. There is a hard mode, now known as very hard, which I'm sure plenty of people are asking for. All of these changes make the game worse. It would have been better if they had just left the game the same, which is why they did that in the special edition. And yet, despite all of its flaws, despite the dumb enemies and the few annoying bosses, despite the game's stupidly high difficulty, I love this game so much. In fact, there was a period of time where I considered this entry to be better than Devil May Cry 5. After replaying it, I don't agree with that statement anymore, but that just goes to show how likable Devil May Cry 3 is. And I think a big part of that has to do with the game's charm. Everything in this game has so much passion put into it. There are only a few main characters in this game, but they're all so amazing, especially Dante. Watching him go back and forth with all the demons is really enjoyable.
Easy, Fido. How about I take you for a walk? Come on, puppy. Let's go.
The cutscenes in this game are all fantastic, showing off some super cool action, especially for the time. And the story might be simple, but the way it's told ascends it to greatness. Watching all of these characters interact with one another and grow alongside each other is truly a sight to behold. Even the little things in this game make it memorable, like the fact that the bosses you kill become your weapons, or the hidden numbers in each mission, or the fact that you can play Devil May Cry 2 in the loading screens. All of these little things add up and keep the game in the back of your mind long after you finish playing. Devil May Cry 3 is a strange game. Never before have I played a game with this many flaws and walked away loving it as much as I did. But I can't help it. After beating the final boss and fighting the demons through the credits, I wasn't thinking about those dumb enemies or the awful boss fights. I wasn't thinking about the lack of checkpoints or the stupidly high difficulty. I was thinking about how much fun I had comboing enemies, how intense the boss fights got, how awesome those cutscenes looked, how amazing those characters were, how phenomenal the final boss was, how memorable that ending is. I'm not sure what my future holds, but I know for a fact that I foresee myself playing a lot more Devil May Cry 3. Not this version though, the special edition. I'm never touching this piece of trash again.